Okay. Sorry about that. The internet went down. So I had to try to get everything back up. And I think we will start as soon as Helen gets here. What I was saying is we went for a walk without realizing how hot it was. And got back and decided to take a quick shower, and I think I took too long. I think she's still trying to get herself back presentable. But she should be here any second. And then
Muted. Jessie, I cannot hear you. Jessie, wait.
All right, give me just a second. I'll be right back. And what we might do is we might go ahead and start, and I'll get Amy to translate for me or something. But give me just a second. Okay. The official word from Helen is, I'm coming, I'm coming. So how's the weather in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong is also raining. I think last night this big storm, yeah. I hear the thundering and lightning, so yeah. I probably will stay at home today.
I think maybe we have, let's see, storm tracking. I think we've got a tropical storm headed our direction.
I think it will not pass Houston.
Yeah, it looks like it's aiming for Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Helen, I'm gonna go do more, okay?
Yeah, so this wouldn't be a good time to be in New Orleans. Looks like they're going to get hammered on the wet side of it.
Hello, people. 对不起，亲爱的们，因为前面皮老师跟我出去散了个步，然后浑身大汗，然后我就洗了个澡，然后我现在
I already told him.
哦，你可以 practice 你的 Chinese，OK？
I already did. I already spoke Chinese today.
再多说一点。
我说了，你还没有去过新加坡。
OK， 说得好。
I think that should be good enough for an American.
还有 Amy was asking why you said you experienced 3 marriages.
Because I spent 18 years in the house with my parents who had a very godly, happy marriage. And I have spent 10 years in a very happy marriage with Helen. And in the middle, I spent 17 years in a very bad marriage. So I know good marriages and bad marriages from experience.
So you count your parents' marriage as your first marriage?
The first marriage I experienced, I spent 18 years in the house with that really good marriage. So I learned.
It's good that.
Actually, Amy thought you had a marriage with.
Yes, it was very funny when Helen was sitting next to me and I said I had experience with 3 marriages, and she.
I was shocked. I was like, what did you hide from me?
All right, well, Helen, are you ready to translate? Are we ready to start? Because it's 7:15.
Okay. Is Maggie here yet?
Nope. We'll have to do without her notes. She takes the most incredible notes.
I know.
It's almost a stenographic transcription. But we'll just get by without them.
I'll wait for a little bit. See, I didn't see Christoph. He said he would come today.
Well, I don't see Christoph, but not everybody can come every week. So.
Okay. And I just got some suggestion from Haiyan, who couldn't come. She said you should put your classes on YouTube.
Yeah, I did a couple of weeks ago. I plan to do that with this one.
No, not like the one you are doing now. It's too long for people to process.
Oh, you mean do another series? Well, maybe.
Yeah, you can do 10 to 15 minutes per session.
Well, we can consider it. Hi, Maggie.
Hi. Hi, Kenny. Hi, 叔叔.
Hi, Maggie. I'm late too.
You try to make me feel comfortable.
Yes. How did you know that?
Yeah, I know you. Thank you.
我能不能跟
Kenny 宝贝你好。
你在吗？
他妈妈他妈妈还在户外呀。
好的，他什么时候回来？
呀，这些都在学习，你也过来学习，快点。
Well, I need to finish dinner.
Just go ahead.
Well, how about this? When the meeting is finished, we can have everyone can leave, and it can only be you and me. 妈妈，我下去吃晚饭。
Sure, go.
I'm starving.
不好意思啊。
No, I'm good. Are you ready? So Maggie, you'll have to tell them that if the kids want to hang around and talk, they're being recorded on this one.
Good.
Oh.
I'll set another Zoom meeting up and they can hang around and talk if they want to talk to each other. Then I won't record that one.
Please kindly share the recordings with us.
Well, that's the intent. I'll put it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I thought we were ready, and I've lost her again. While we're waiting for her, would anyone mind opening us in prayer? I don't want to ask anybody that I haven't asked in advance, but if one of y'all would be willing to volunteer to open us up with prayer as soon as Helen gets back, that would be great. Otherwise, I can do it.
You do it, Kenny, since you do it very briefly. Sorry, are you okay? Oh, I'm so sorry, Kenny.
No, it's no problem. I just had a little, I had just started to take just a little bitty sip. So I just was trying to make sure I kept it all in my mouth. It made me laugh just as I was taking a sip of my drink. They were saying that I should do the opening prayer because my prayers are short. Well, let's go ahead and pray. So, Father, I pray that you would use tonight to help us all come out when we're done with a much clearer sense of how you feel about us and the delight that you take in us and that you have always taken in us. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So the technical stuff is out of the way.
Hold on, I didn't see May here. May is the one, and Angela. I didn't see those two. So are you all okay without translation? Then he can talk more.
Well, but we're going to put it out on. But I'm going to put it on YouTube. So if you don't translate, people who don't
When you
listen.
put on YouTube, you don't put all the long ones.
Yeah, I do.
No.
But then I have to do another one. Well, we can go ahead and go. Is everyone okay without translation?
Who is that? Michaela? Is it okay for you, Michaela?
Laura.
你好，叔叔和皮老师，你好。但是我觉得我这个声音有点很小，听着很吃力。
哦，那你们的声音都 OK 吗？
我的还蛮大的，是不是你的音
我
量
也
比较大呀？
对，我也蛮好的。
So, Helen.
那有可能是我这边手机的问题。好，你们正常就行了，你们正常，我反正使劲听吧。
使劲听。
你的音量是最大的吗？
啊，我音量是调到最大了，但是可能是手机问题，不知道是什么原因。
Okay, so for the next about 3 weeks, we are going to, today we're going to talk about grace, and I think next week we'll probably talk about faith, and after that, probably predestination. We might flip it. We'll see how tonight goes. But tonight we're talking about grace. But
你要我翻译吗？
Oh, that's right.
今天呢，大概我们来讲恩典，然后下礼拜呢讲信心，再下礼拜呢讲预定论，有可能后面顺序会换一下，但是今天我们来讲这个恩典啊。
But all 3 weeks we are going to work with one particular picture of God, and that is the image of God as the creator.
但是呢，我们都会从一个角度来讲，就是从上帝是创造者、创造宇宙的这个角度来讲。
And I have to ask, is that really a cat sticking their head through the ceiling?
No, I don't think so.
Where's in the background?
Jessie put a background on me.
Of course,
She insists. I cannot refuse.
That's a great Zoom background.
Yeah. Can disturbing them.
No, that's a good one. So the reason I want to use that particular one is that we don't actually think about God that often as creator.
我们不经常从那个角度想，从上帝是创造者的这个角度想。我就说我们其实不是经常那么讲嘛，经常 想神是创造者。Okay, sorry.
We mostly think of him most often as Father.
我们常常想他是我们的父，天上的父。
And probably after that, secondly, we think of him mostly as a king.
然后我们想他是君王，
But mostly as a father.
主要还是从天父的角度。
Now, every picture of God breaks down. Every picture of God is imperfect.
没有任何一幅关于上帝的这个图画类比的图画是完美的。
But there's one way that all of the pictures that the Bible uses are misleading, except for the one of God as the creator.
除了从上帝是创造者的这个角度来想，其他的那种类比呢，都有可能你用起来会用错的。
So, fathers and husbands and kings and friends and brothers and shepherds and even potters, they all are in the same sort of universe and timeline as children and wives and friends and sheep and pots. You don't have to remember all of them.
That's a very long one. 如果讲天父，或者是这个君王，或者是牧羊，我们的牧人，或者是陶匠，这些呢和他们相对应的这叫什么？相对应的孩子、妻子。
You don't have to remember all the
I am
individuals.
trying to remember. 还有小羊啊，还有那个瓦器啊，他们都是在同一个时间线内的。
So a father doesn't know the future any better than the child does.
对于未来呢，一个父亲并不比他的儿子知道的更多。
A king has the past and the present and the unknown future just as much as a subject does.
Subject.
The people being ruled by the king.
对于君王来说，他也是和那些被统治者一样，都是有过去、现在、未来。
And that creates all kinds of problems for us when we try to imagine God's interactions with us.
这样呢，当我们去思想神和我们之间的互动呢，就会给我们造成一些困惑。
It creates problems with God's sovereignty versus our free will.
那会造成一些什么样的问题呢？比如说神的绝对的一个权威，还有我们的自由意志。
Or God's foreknowledge, it feels like that's in conflict with our choice.
或者说呢，神是全知的，这样呢又和我们是不是还有自己的选择呢？这个又相矛盾。
There are a whole lot of people who feel like, look, if God already knows that 5 years from now I'm going to commit a terrible sin.
那有些人会想说，如果神已经知道了5年之后我会犯一个很严重的罪。
Well, then how can you possibly pretend that I have any choice other than to commit that sin if he already knows I'm going to do it?
那如果他已经知道了，你怎么能还能假装说我有这个选择去不犯罪呢？
And most of these problems, sort of at the center of the problem is the fact that that for us, if we already know something's going to happen, then there isn't any possibility that it won't.
这个问题的中心呢，就是对于我们来说，如果我们已经知道某些事情要发生，那它就是不可能不发生。
So for people who are inside our universe, and we're experiencing time.
对于
the
我
way
们
we
这
do.
些在宇宙当中受时间限制的人来说，
There's a conflict between foreknowledge and freedom.
哦，还不是说预知的，是对我们来说，那个预先知道那个预知，我刚才说全知是不对的翻译，应该是预知和我们自己的选择是有冲突的。
But the image of God as creator is the only one the Bible gives us that doesn't have that particular problem.
但如果我们从上帝是这个创造者的角度来想、来思想，就不会给我们造成这个困惑。
But so if I ask you to imagine what it looks like for God to create the world, so if you picture it,
如果我让你们去想象神是怎么样创造世界的，你脑子里会出现怎么样的一个图画？
most people, almost all men, but I think
You should
probably,
let them answer.
well, that's fair enough. What do you picture?
It's always interesting to listen to the answer.
That's true. So what do you guys have? Close your eyes and imagine God creating the world and tell me what that looks like.
我觉得我们就有那个女娲造人的那个样子啊。
Now maybe I'm too preoccupied by the Big Bang theory. That for me, that it's just like a thought, an idea that comes that this a light and this. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of everything happening a sudden, but everything in God's mind and a thought. Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Amy 说她觉得就像是那个宇宙大爆炸那样的。我们听这种理论听太久了啊，可能就是一下子就想到那个。你们还会想到什么？ Maggie 点名了。
No, I
I'm
just-
not calling on anyone.
The only feeling is lonely, a lonely man. Like there's nothing around him. He tried to make something new and fun.
This I totally object, because when we talk about Trinity, Trinity is that God is the three. Actually, with the God, with the Spirit, and he's self-sufficient enough with the friendship.
So yeah, but we're doing imagination, not theology. Maggie or Amy, can you translate that? What you just said? Because I just lost Helen. She said she'd be right back.
OK， 我刚才说的是说他问的那个问题，你是要我OK sorry。
No, you just muted yourself. You muted.
Yeah. What do you want me to translate? The Big Bang theory I described, or the one I said just now?
What Maggie said about imagining God making something.
那个刚才 Maggie 就是说，他觉得他想象的就是非常孤独的，因为神非常孤独，他只有他自己，什么都没有，所以他要创造一些东西来这个就是能够回应他，享受他。那我说这个我是完全反对的，因为我们从三位一体的概念来说，神是有圣灵圣子，他们在最初就是彼此相爱，然后就是所以他自己是完全充足的，对。
So
yeah, that's all.
So if I'm talking to a bunch of men, they will practically all basically imagine God building something.
他说从大多数男人的角度来想，他们都会想象是去造一个东西，造一个世界。
But in other words, they think of God as creating a thing, like a machine.
就好像在造一个机器一样的。
But if we look at Genesis, the high point of creation is where God creates man in his own image.
但是我们看创世纪是说神按照自己的形象造人。
And the people that we know, the creators, the human creators that we know who are most like God are the creators who build worlds and people, which is to say novelists.
我们人类能想象到的最接近这个神那样的创造者的是像小说家那样的去创造一个世界，然后在里面呢放各种各样的人物。
And those are the creators who actually create new universes.
像作家、小说家这样的呢，他们确实是在创造一个新的世界。
And if we think about God as a novelist,
如果我们把神想象成一个小说家，
and we think of him as creating a world and using that world to create a story,
想象成神就是要创造一个世界，在那个里面呢有很多的故事进行。
then there are a surprising number of things where suddenly it gets a whole lot easier to think about the way things the Bible says.
如果从这个角度来思想的话呢，圣经里面有很多的东西会一下子迎刃而解，你会很惊讶，哎，这样想就能想通了。
So, for example, it's a common complaint among Muslims
比如说在穆斯林的这个世界，有一个很普遍的抱怨，
and also some atheists
也有一些无神论者这样说。
say that it's stupid to think that God could have ever been a baby because what would have happened to the universe while he was asleep?
他们会说很愚蠢，神怎么会成为一个 baby 小孩呢？那么如果在这个小孩睡觉的时候，这个世界会发生什么呢 ？Hello, Sandy.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Although I cannot see you.
But if you think about a novelist who's writing a novel, it's not at all hard to imagine him writing himself into the novel as one of the characters.
如果你把let me tell Cindy a little bit.
Okay.
About what we
Quickly.
said before. Cindy, 我跟你稍微讲一下，他在说这一次我们讲这个恩典啊，讲 grace， 然后在讲之前呢，他说呢，让我们来思想一下，从创造者的这个角度来思想神。我们平常可能经常很多的会是讲到神是父亲啊，是君王啊，是好牧人呐，然后是陶匠啊。这些东西，但是我们很少去从创造者的角度来想。然后呢，他让我们来思想一下，说我们会想到，如果这个神创造世界，是怎么样一个方式去创造？一个小小的讨论。那刚才呢，他就说，我们如果从一个角度，就是把神想象成是一个小说家啊，他在这个小说里面，他把自己写进去了。那么从这个角度来看，很多事情就很在圣经里的很多东西就很好了解。OK， 这样。
哦，好，谢谢叔叔。
So there's if I write a novel and there's a point where the characters, some bad things have happened to the characters.
如果我写一部小说，然后在这个小说里面呢，有不好的事情发生在这个人物身上。
And I write myself into the book as a character, then they can ask me what's going on.
然后我就把自己也写成里面的一个人物，他们可以来问我，哎，为什么会发生这些？
And I can tell them.
然后我也可以告诉他们。
Or I can tell them, you'll find out later, but I'm not going to tell you right now.
我也可以告诉他们，我现在不跟你们说，你以后会知道的。
And among other things, I always know what everybody in the book is thinking.
另外呢，我总是知道这个小说里面的每一个人物他们是怎么想的。
And we don't have any trouble imagining how the character in the book, who is me with my personality and my beliefs, how the character in the book can go to sleep, but the novel doesn't fall apart because I am outside of the book and inside of the book at the same time.
因为我同时又在小说里面，我又在小说外面，因为我是把自己写进去的，所以呢，这时候就不会有这样的问题，说，哎，在小说里面的这个我如果睡着了，这整个小说就会坍塌了吗？不会。
So what I'm going to do now is we'll put that on the shelf for a little bit.
我们把刚才讲的放一边儿。
And I'm going to talk about grace and what the New Testament means by grace.
现在我来讲这个新约里面讲的 grace 恩典到底是什么意思。
And then, after we've talked about what grace is, we'll come back and talk about what it means for a creator to feel grace towards his creation.
这个恩典讲完之后呢，我们再回到从这个小说的角度来讲，这个创造者对他所创造出来的这个一切，他有这个恩典 feel grace 到底是什么意思？
So, somebody give me a definition of grace.
有没有人可以给我一个定义？这个 grace 是什么意思？
If this were an American, if you were a bunch of American Christians, I would be guaranteed to know the answer. So I'm curious to see if Chinese people have a different definition.
如果你们都是美国的基督徒呢，我就很肯定你们会告诉我什么。但是呢，你们是中国的基督徒，所以我很好奇你们会怎么想。我觉得我们可能我们呢是从英文的翻译来的，对吧？所以我们应该跟他们讲的差不多。你们说？
Grace is a gift from God that is not earned, but just God gave to us because He loves us, right? He loves us.
Okay, that's pretty much. So if I were talking to an American, they would say that grace was God's unmerited favor, which is what you just said in 3 words, right? God's unmerited favor. And if you are a modern Christian, if you're a modern Christian in English. Now, so one problem is that I am not entirely sure. So what the word grace means to American Christians may not be what Andian means to Chinese Christians. So
他说，对美国的基督徒来说，他们讲到恩典呢，就想到这是我们不配得到的神给我们的礼物。但是刚才Amy 讲的时候，其实也没有说到是配不配得到，对吧？就是说是不是我们挣来的，不是我们努力得来的，是神给我们的。
You're explaining.
I'm not. I'm talking to Amy. 他 figure out 我怎么会翻这么长，这个长度不对。
爱叔叔是 God's undeserved favor， 什么？
他说是 unmerited。
Unmerited is another way to say undeserved.
对
，unmerited。
也就是 undeserved。反正就是说美国人一说到这个，就会讲到说这个是我们不配得的。I think it's the same in Chinese too.
That's right.
When
Yeah, same thing.
Right, 恩典。
Okay. So to modern Christians.
Sorry. 我觉得我们讲恩典的时候，是不是其实配得和不配得的都包在里面了，并不是说完全就单一的指我们不配得的东西啊？
对人都不配吧？
你觉得是都不配吗？所以
对呀，
对你的感觉会还是不配？
对不配，因为我之前看到过，就是说你不管犯了很严重的罪，或者是小朋友撒谎，在上帝的眼里都是罪，是没有什么程度之分的，所以还是都是不配的。
所以你是觉得 because we are all sinners, so
we are not deserved.
We don't deserve any grace.
So 不配 is undeserved.
Undeserved.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to Christians, to the modern Christians, undeserved, 不配, is an essential part of the meaning of the word grace.
对现代的基督徒来讲，这个不配，就是这个恩典的一个基调。
So if you ask me what I think of Maggie,
如果你问我对 Maggie 的感觉怎么样？
if I say, well, I give her a lot of grace,
如果我说，我要给她很多恩典，
I have just really insulted Maggie.
我其实对这个 Maggie 的羞辱还是蛮大的，就是她这个人不怎么样。
Because nice people don't need grace.
因为呢，好的人是不需要恩典的。
Grace is what we have to give sinners.
恩典是我们给罪人的。
And to a modern Christian, what grace means is it's how God treats sinners.
对我们现代的基督徒来讲，恩典一般就表示是神怎么样对待罪人的。
And so, do you know who the person in the Bible is that God gives the most grace to? Does anyone know?
你们知道在圣经里面，神给谁最大的恩典吗？
I think it's David.
You too?
David.
Adam.
David, Adam.
David, Adam.
Do we have any other answer?
An answer I get a lot is the worst sinner.
Huh?
The worst sinner.
An
是
answer,
最
an answer that I get a lot is the worst sinner.
罪人中的罪魁，保罗。
But the,
Paul, you mean Paul?
the correct answer is Jesus.
Oh.
When they don't know.
But he deserved, right? I mean,
Why Jesus?
Because he's not a singer. He's not yeah.
Good. But the reason is that in Koine Greek, in the language that Paul was speaking, to Paul and to the people that Paul was writing to, grace did not mean undeserved favor. That is not what it means.
他说呢，为啥是答案是 Jesus 呢？因为在希腊文当中，在保罗和他当时所处的那个时代，他们所说的那个语言Greek， 在那个时候 grace 不是表示不配得的恩典。
The Greek word for undian is charis.
I don't know how to.
Charis. C-H-A-R-I-S is how you spell it. Well, you actually don't spell it C-H-A-R-I-S because you spell it in Greek. You spell it pi, alpha, rho, iota, sigma.
Anyway.
Luke 2:52.
在路加福音2章52节里面。
What it says, what it actually says is that Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in grace from God and man.
52节里面说耶稣的智慧和身量，并神和人喜爱他的心都一起增长。这个喜爱他的心呢，在那个希腊文当中，这个里面他就用了 grace。
What happens is theologians have defined grace as God's unmerited favor.
但是呢，神学家们呢是认为这个是神给这个不配得的人的恩典。
And that is what grace has come to mean in English.
然后呢，英文当中的 grace 都变成了给不配的人的恩典。
So every time that the Bible says grace, but it's talking about someone who clearly deserves it,
但是呢，每一次在圣经提到 grace 这个词恩典的时候，可是实际上呢，它又不是指那种不配的人所得的。
the Bible translators pick a different word rather than grace because they are sure that grace has to be undeserved.
那个时候翻译从希腊文翻到英文的人呢，那些神学家他们就换另外一个词，他们就不用这个恩典，因为他们觉得这个恩典就是给不配的人的。所以在这个地方，就是希腊文其实是用的恩典，可是呢，在英文里面它就翻成了是 in favor of
favor with God and man.
in favor with God and man， 就变成了神和人喜爱他的心。
So it is true that God's grace towards us is undeserved.
确实呢，神给我们的是我们不配得的。
But nobody who spoke Koine Greek, if you ask them to define grace, would say that it is undeserved favor.
但是在当时讲那个希腊文的那些人当中，没有人会这样子来定义恩典。
And the reason is that in Koine Greek, grace was not a church word.
因为在那个时候 ，grace 的恩典并不是一个教会的用语。
So for us, because we hear the word mostly in church, what we think of when we think of grace is how God treats us.
因为我们都在教会里听到这个词比较多，所以呢，我们一听到恩典，我们脑子里马上想的就是神怎么样对待我们这样的罪人。
So we feel like grace is being nice to sinners, and so we say, I give Maggie a lot of grace, and everyone assumes Maggie is a sinner.
所以呢，我们就觉得这个恩典是给罪人的。那么我讲到我要给 Maggie 很多的恩典，你们就马上想到 Maggie 她是个罪人，是个坏蛋。
But if you go through the Bible, what you will discover is that the Bible pretty much never uses the word grace except for Paul. Paul uses the word grace to talk to us about how salvation works.
Really? 说我们如果去读圣经的话，基本上是 Paul 一直在用这个恩典这个词，他来告诉，就是从这个词来给我们解释什么是救恩。
And he picked that word because everybody already knew what it meant, and it described the way people feel about certain other people.
他那时候用选取恩典这个词，希腊文里面他选这个词，是因为当时呢，大家都知道这个词表示的是什么，这个感觉是对你喜欢的人的感觉。
And in Greek, grace is not how you feel about jerks. Grace is how you feel about the coolest, most awesome people you know.
所以在当时希腊文当中，这个恩典不是用在坏人身上的，它是用在你觉得最酷的、最棒的人身上。
Grace is how a young man feels about the girl he has fallen in love with.
Grace 呢，那时候是描述一个新郎对他所爱的心爱的女孩的感觉。
Grace is how a mother feels about her 2-year-old child.
恩典 Grace 表示一个妈妈对她2岁孩子的感觉。
At least while the 2-year-old is asleep and not breaking anything.
而且最起码是当那个2岁的孩子在酣睡的时候，甜甜的睡梦中，没有在破坏任何东西的时候。
Grace is the delight that we take in the people who make our lives delightful.
Grace 是一种比较愉悦的，是让我们的生活很愉悦的人给我们的感觉，就是开心、愉悦。
So we think of grace as being how we feel about the people in our lives who are jerks and who are hard to like.
所以我们说到这个恩典，就是想到生活当中那些让我们不喜欢的人、讨厌的人，让我们不高兴的人。
But the Greek word charis is how we feel about the most likable people, about the people who are easiest to like, the ones we just can't help liking because they're so awesome.
但是实际上，它希腊文描述的是我们对我们非常喜欢的人，就控制不住要去爱他们的人的感觉。So you are talking about like all the churches, all the pastors, they are telling us the wrong thing.
Well, it's not that. It's that so it is entirely true. Helen's question is an important one, so you should ask it in Chinese.
我说这样，那是不是说，我们所有的教会，我们牧师给我们的教导全是错的啦？然后我们读圣经的时候，我们的那种感觉全是错的。
So what they're telling us is not logically false, because it is true that we do not deserve God's grace.
他说那个牧师们告诉我们的，并没有什么逻辑上的错误啊，我们确确实实是不配神给我们的爱，给我们的救恩。
The problem is that the connotations, the assumptions that come along with the word mislead us.
但是就是这个词的含义，深层的含义是会让我们有一些误解。
The people that Paul wrote his letters to,
保罗当时写信的那些读者，
they immediately thought about how they felt about the coolest people in their lives.
他们那些人看到保罗的书信的时候，读到恩典，他们马上想到的是他们生活当中最喜欢的、最让他们高兴的人。
We automatically what we automatically think of is how we feel about the least likable
我
people
们马
in
上
our
联想
lives.
到的就是生活中最讨厌的人、最不喜欢的人。
So it's not that the preachers are wrong when they say we don't deserve God's grace,
所以
because we
说，牧
don't.
师们说我们不配这些恩典，也不是错的。对，我们是不配。
But what happens is when Paul told first century Greek speakers
可是当保罗给第一世纪的讲希腊文的那些人
that we
写
are
信的时候，
that we are saved by grace,
他说我们是，我们得救是凭着恩典。
what they heard is something different from what we hear.
他们所听到的，他们想到的，跟我们想到的是不一样的。
So the primary fundamental thing that Paul's readers would have heard, I'll put it this way. If you ask an American Christian, and again, I don't know about 中国
基督徒，
but if you ask American Christians to tell you what the difference is between grace and mercy, they pretty much can't.
如果你叫美国的基督徒来讲讲恩典和怜悯有什么区别，他们一般讲不出。
So you get people trying really hard to come up with a difference, because they know that the Bible uses two different words, so it has to be two different things.
他们要想很久才能想到一点不同，因为毕竟在圣经里面是用了恩典和怜悯两个不同的词，那么势必他们是会有不同的意义。
But we use them as if they're the same thing.
Yes, we always like put them together, right? 神感谢你的恩典和怜悯，基本上这么说。
So you get definitions like grace is when we get blessings that we don't deserve, and mercy is when we don't get punishment that we do deserve.
所以一般来说呢，你也许会得到这样的一个解释，那就是恩典呢，就是我们得到我们不配得的东西；但是怜悯呢，就是我们该受一些惩罚，但是呢，神没给我们惩罚。
But as a native speaker of Greek, they don't seem like the same thing at all. They seem almost like opposites.
但是对于当时的希腊人来说，这两个词几乎是反义词，不是同义词。
Mercy is when you don't treat an evil person the way he deserves to be treated.
怜悯是你不去用一个罪人、一个坏人应得的去对待他。
Grace is the delight that you feel around someone who is a wonderful person.
而恩典呢，是一种你对你非常喜欢的人的感觉。
And this is what made it such a powerful term for Paul.
这就是为什么这个词语对于保罗来讲非常的 powerful， 非常有力。
Because what Paul is saying
因为保罗说的是
is that even when we were deepest in our sin,
是不是就当我们还是罪人的时候，最坏的罪人的时候，
God already felt about us the way we feel about the most wonderful people in our lives.
在我们还是罪人的时候，最坏的罪人的时候，神对我们的感觉是不是已经像是我们对我们最爱的、最喜欢的人的那种感觉？
So you would probably get a lot closer to the impact that Paul's first readers had from Galatians if you read it. For it is by God's delight in us that we are saved through faith.
如果要想像当时的希腊人读到这封信的时候，要想得到那样的感觉，我们也许要把这个恩典这个词把它换成 delight， 换成高兴。
It's the same word that it's used in Luke 2:52.
喜爱。
The delight.
换完了这句话应该怎么说 ？What's the verse you talk about?
So we always in English, for it is by grace, again, you are saved through faith.
我们得救本是因着信。
原乎恩又因着信。
本乎恩又因着信。
因着信。
那我们就把它换成我们本乎高兴，本乎喜爱，又因着信啊，本乎神对我们的喜爱，又因着信。
So it was not, I'll put it this way, it was not a shock.
But that will make people think they deserve it.
No. But the point is, that's what they would have heard. Paul clearly was not worried that it would make people think they deserved it because he picked that word, and that is what the word means.
我说呢，如果我们用这个词的话，会不会让大家误解？哎呀，我们能得到神的喜爱，是因为我们配得。他说呢，明显呢，保罗当时在写这个信的时候，他没有去担心说，如果他用了这个词，人家就会觉得自己是配得的了。
And think about how the verse ends. He says, for it is by God's delight in us that you're saved through faith, not by works, so nobody can boast. He immediately follows up by saying, but that doesn't mean you can brag about it.
Okay. 所以因为他后面还说了一个，不是因为我们的行为，所以呢，人不会觉得是因为自己行得好才配得。
Paul goes to the trouble to immediately emphasize that we don't deserve it, because the word grace by itself does not imply that we don't deserve it. It actually implies the opposite.
他说正因为恩典这个词在当时没有涉及到是不是配不配的这个问题，所以呢，他在后面马上呢就补上了一句，不是出于我们的行为。
You guys need to go out the front door. Okay. So there wasn't, when Paul said we were saved by grace, if Paul had just said that, nobody would have thought he was saying anything particularly remarkable, because everybody already agreed that if you wanted to be saved, the gods had to feel grace toward you.
You were talking about the people at that time?
Yeah, the people at that time.
Sorry, I was distracted.
Okay, so when Paul said...
I didn't translate.
I know, I'm saying it again so
Oh.
you can hear it. So when Paul says that we are saved through God's grace,
当保罗说我们得救是本乎恩的时候，
if he had just said that, everybody would have said, well, obviously,
每个人都会说当然咯，
because everybody agreed that if you wanted to be saved, you had to get the gods to feel grace towards you.
那时候的人会想当然啦，因为你如果要想神喜悦你的话，你要想得救的话，你肯定是要让神喜悦你、爱你。
Pagan religion, everything. What all the priests and the holy books were telling you is, this is what you have to do so that the gods will feel grace toward you.
但是就算这个外邦人，不管是什么样的，他们的那个宗教的法典里面，总归是说，哎，你要想得救，你就要取悦你的神。
Because everybody knew if you want somebody to like you, you have to do things that make them like you.
每个人都知道，你如果要想别人喜欢你，总归要做一些事情让人家喜欢你。
So there was a book written in the early 1900s that sold millions of copies.
在19世纪呢，有一本书大概卖了几百万册，
And it was called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
书名是怎么样赢得朋友 ，How to
And influence people.
怎么影响别人。
And he could have just named it How to Make People Feel Grace Towards You.
他可以就把它翻成说如何让别人对你有恩典。
So when Paul says we're saved by grace through faith, not by works,
当保罗说我们得救是本乎恩，因着信，不是因为我们的行为。
what's surprising is not the fact that we're saved, that we're saved by grace.
这里面让人惊讶的不是说我们得救本乎恩，
What's surprising is the order.
比较让人奇怪的惊讶的是这个顺序。
Because what Paul is saying is, look, it isn't that you do the right things, that you know, it's not like God says, that guy sacrifices really good goats, I like him.
这个顺序不是说你先做一个什么样的好的行为，比如说神讲，哎，他用了一只好肥羊来祭祀我，所以我喜欢他。
It's not that we do the right things and that makes God like us, and then he has grace and we are saved.
并不是说我们先做好的行为，然后呢，神就喜欢我们，然后就给我们救恩。
That's how everybody thought religion worked.
Not in Christianity.
But he's one of the first Christians. That's how everybody outside of Christianity and anyone who had just been converted to Christianity, that's how everybody thought it worked.
因为那个倒过来的顺序呢，是其他的宗教或者甚至包括那时候刚刚信主的一些人的想法。
When Paul's first letter was the letter to the Galatians.
他的第一封信是写给 Galatians 加拉太人。
And the Jewish Christians were telling the Gentiles, well, if you want God to like you and save you, you have to be circumcised.
那时候呢，那些犹太人就跟外邦人说，哎，你如果要神喜悦你，你就得去受割礼。
But Paul's saying, that's not how it works.
保罗说，不是那样的。
What happens is God's grace comes first.
应该是神喜爱我们的心是先来的。
God starts off feeling delight in us before we have done anything delightful.
在我们做任何讨他喜悦的行为之前，神已经喜爱我们了。
And up front, he offers us the relationship of faith. up front
哦，
to
所以他
begin
已
with,
经
before we've done anything.
刚开始我们还没有做任何事情的时候，他就给我们提供了这样子一个得救的可能。
And if we accept that, then he changes us so that we wind up doing things that please him.
如果我们凭着这个信接受了这个救恩，然后呢，他就会改变我们的心，改变我们的行为，我们就会做出让他喜悦的事情。
So when Paul uses the language of grace,
所以当保罗在用这个 grace 的时候，Amy 在吃什么
you are being distracted.
I'm hungry. Oh, okay, sorry. What did you say?
I said when Paul
Yeah.
uses the language of grace,
当他用 grace 的时候，
what he is saying is precisely that while we're still sinners,
Yeah, we said that.
God feels the way we feel about the best people in our lives, not the worst people, even while we are the worst people.
哎呀，这个是比较新颖的观点啊，就是当我们还是罪人的时候，哪怕我们就是那个最坏的人的时候，神呢已经是喜爱我们了，而且那个喜爱我们的感觉呢，并不是像我们给那个坏人恩典的那种感觉，是我们对我们所爱的人很讨喜的人的那种感觉。
So now I want to go back to our picture of God as creator.
现在我们再回到刚才我们所说的，从创造者的角度来思考上帝。
And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use examples from 3 different novels.
我下面会用3个不同的小说来说明。
So when I first read 三国演义,
哎呀，他竟然读了《三国演义》我
um,
都没有读完。
Really? In English?
yes,
In
yes,
English.
yes,
Wow,
yes.
amazing.
In English.
But even
我
就算是
What's the translation? What's the translation of the name? 三国演义
The romance of the three kingdoms.
the romance
romance. Wow.
哎呀，我都很 shock。哎呀，他把那个4大名著都有买来耶。我说我这个人都没有文学功底，那个4大名著我只是看电影看电视，我都没有心思去读，特别什么《水浒传》那个打来打去的，我的妈呀！
I still have a couple I need to read. So I haven't read The Red Chamber yet.
还没读《红楼梦》
红楼梦哦
Red Chamber， 哎呀，那还是很不好听，是吧？
You should. I think it's the best.
I intend. So I've read The Journey to the West and The Water Margins and 三国演义.
其他都读了。
But I haven't read The Red Chamber yet. But so when I first read 三国演义,
我刚读《三国演义》的时候，
I got to the part where Liu Bei shows up.
我读到这个刘备出现的时候，
And at first he was a fairly impressive guy.
开始呢，他给人感觉还不错，
But by the time I got to the end,
但是我读到最后的时候，
so neither Ellen nor I can remember who this was, but one of our Chinese friends
我们都不记得是谁了。我的某一个亲戚吧，跟他讨论的时候说，
the subject of 三国演义 came up, and he said, I can't stand Liu Bei.
他说我受不了刘备，
He's just like a woman. He just cries all the time.
说他像个女人那么样的软弱，老是要哭来哭去的。
I was like, well, good. There's at least some Chinese people who feel the same way about that idiot as I do.
他说很好，至少有个中国人跟我想的一样，觉得那个人很白痴。我没有这么觉得。
Because by the time I got to the end, I was just like, but he's stupid and whiny.
说我到最后的时候觉得他比较愚蠢，而且呢 ，whiny 比较喜欢
Every
抱
time he
怨。
turned around, he's like,
你们这么想吗？我好像没有那么坏的印象。
and I felt like Zhuge Liang should have just stayed on his mountain and not wasted his time with Liu Bei.
那他说，我觉得诸葛亮就该待在山上，不该跟刘备浪费时间。
Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to feel
那我
about
不是说
Liu Bei.
我这样感觉是对的，确实是错的。
I'm just saying that by the time I got to the end, that's how I felt about him.
我就说，当我看到最后的时候，我是这么想的。
What that meant is when I went back to the first part,
这就意味着当我再回到那个刚开始的开头的时候，
and I read the first part where when I first came through, I had liked him.
然后呢，当我看到那个第一处，我觉得第一遍读的时候开始喜欢他的时候，那个地方，
I didn't like him anymore the second time because I knew that he's actually a whiny idiot.
我那时候就已经不喜欢他了，因为我知道他最后是什么德性。
So I felt very differently about him
我对他的感觉完
once
全
I
不一样。
knew the whole story.
当我知道整个故事的时候，我对他感觉就完全不一样。
Than I felt the first time through when I didn't yet know what was going to happen.
这跟我在第一次读书的时候那个感觉是还不知道后面要发生什么，跟那个时候感觉是不一样的。
The same thing happens when you read Anna Karenina.
同样的，当你读那个安娜·卡拉琳娜，我没读过啊。Russian， 你们谁读过吗？
安娜·卡列尼娜，托尔斯泰的，
就
托尔
悲剧
斯泰的。
托尔斯泰的。
It's by yeah.
我觉得他
Yeah, actually, I like it very much. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
喂，但是你读的是中文还是英文啊？我觉得那些翻译
我读的中文的，中文的。
我觉得那些名字那么长的名字。他让我不要聊天了。
I'm trying to finish in 15 minutes because I don't want to hold people up too much. So when we first meet Anna,
我们第一
she is
次
not a
看到
bad
安娜的
person.
时候，
She's not a bad
她
person.
不是个坏人，
She actually tries to be faithful to her husband.
她也努力的想对她丈夫忠诚，
But then she falls to seduction.
但是呢，她屈从了诱惑，
And she ends up ruining her own life and her child's life.
她破坏了她自己的生活，还有她孩子的生活。
And the book ends as she throws herself under a train and commits suicide.
最后是个悲剧啊，她自杀了，在什么卧轨自杀。
Now, when you come back and read it the second time, Amy can tell me if she disagrees with me.
Amy， 如果你不同意，就告诉她啊。
But when you read it the second time, even when you're reading the early chapters,
第二次读的时候，就算你读刚开始的那几段，
you feel grief. You feel grief as you see her trying not to betray her husband.
那时候呢，你就已经开始替她感到难过了，因为你看到她在努力的想不要背叛她的丈夫，
Because you know that she does.
但是你又知道她后面确实背叛。
But now, when you read Pride and Prejudice, which is my favorite book other than the Bible,
当你读这个《傲慢与偏见》的时候，这本书是除了圣经之外我最爱的一本书。
One of my favorite too.
Oh, the only problem, this makes a wonderful example, and I hate to use it because if there's someone who hasn't read it yet, I ruin it for them.
如果有谁没有读过的话，我就要暴露这个细节啦。
But it's just a perfect example. So
但是这个例子用它来做例子实在是太棒了，所以but you already told 2 examples.
so well, but they're not as good.
You already
So
got your
so
point.
the not really because I haven't shown grace. So we start off and we meet Elizabeth Bennet, who is the heroine, and she's awesome, and we really like her.
我们讲这个《傲慢与偏见》，刚读到伊丽莎白出现的时候 ，I really like her， 喜欢这个伊丽莎白，因为她很棒。
And she meets a couple of young men.
然后她遇到了几个年轻人。
There is Wickham, who is poor, but she likes him, and we like him.
有一个穷人叫什么名字？中文我不知道。
Wickham.
Wickham。虽然是个穷人啊，但是呢，人还不错，我们也喜欢他。
And there's Bingley, who is rich and a nice guy, and we really like him.
然后有个宾里，也是个富人，但是呢也不错，我们也喜欢他。
But then Mr. Bingley has a friend who is even richer than he is.
然后这个宾里呢有一个朋友比他还要有钱。
And this friend is Mr. Darcy.
然后就是那个达西先生。
And when we meet him, it is at a ball, at a dance.
当我们遇到他的时候呢，是在一个舞会上。
And he is a jerk.
他是个混蛋。
He's just a terrible person.
他就是个很糟糕的人。
He is so conceited and proud of himself.
他对自己是非常的引以为傲，非常的骄傲，就是非常骄傲的一个人，狂妄的人。
And he actually insults Elizabeth.
他还去这个羞辱了伊丽莎白。
His friend is trying to get him to dance, and he just thinks all the women at this country dance are beneath him.
他朋友呢想让他说去跟其他女孩跳舞，但是他觉得这些乡下的女孩都是低他一等的。
And his friend says, "Well, there's Elizabeth Bennet. You can dance with her. She's pretty."
然后他朋友说：“伊丽莎白在这里，你可以和她跳啊，她挺漂亮的。”
And Darcy says, "She's not handsome enough. She's tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me. I am in no mood to give consequence to young ladies who are slighted by other men."
What? Who are slighted?
Slighted, that other people won't dance with.
他说呢，他还可以，但是呢，也不是那么漂亮，能够吸引我。然后呢，其他男生都不跟他跳的，这种女孩我也不会跟他跳。
He's just a terrible jerk. You just want to slap him.
就真想给他一个巴掌。
And as the book goes on, it becomes obvious that he is falling in love with Elizabeth, and he winds up proposing marriage to her, and his proposal is just insulting. It's terrible.
然后这个情节发展下去呢，你就看到达西先生他就爱上了伊丽莎白，但是呢，然后他就跟伊丽莎白求婚，可是这个求婚本身呢，也是很让人感觉到羞辱的、不爽的。
And when Elizabeth says, "No, I'm not going to marry you," he can't believe it. He can't believe that anyone would not want to marry him.
然后伊丽莎白拒绝他的时候，他是简直不可置信，不相信世界上有人会拒绝他的求婚。
So Elizabeth pretty much tells him, "You're the last person on earth I'd marry. You're a jerk."
伊丽莎白呢，基本上告诉他，你是这个如果我要嫁人的话，你是世界上我最不想嫁的人。
And we agree with her.
然后我们也同意。
But then something strange happens.
然后呢，很奇怪的事情发生了。
The next time we see Darcy, suddenly he acts nice.
然后我们看到达西的时候呢，他的行为变好了。
And it turns out that Darcy never wanted to be a jerk.
然后我们看到达西呢，其实他也不想成为一个混蛋。
He was just rich and powerful, and nobody ever told him he was acting like a jerk.
他只不过是有钱呐、有权呐、然后呢，他自己那些行为他也没有意识到，没有人告诉他说那样做像个混蛋。
And when Elizabeth said, I won't marry you, you're a jerk, he went home and thought about it and realized, oh no, I really am a jerk.
然后当伊丽莎白告诉他不想嫁给他，因为他是个混蛋的时候，他回家好好思想，就说啊，原来我真的那么不好啊。
So he set out to stop being a jerk.
然后呢，他就停止
And by the end of the book,
停止那些坏行为。
and by the end of the book, he's actually an awesome person.
然后呢，到了这本书的结尾的时候，他就变成了一个非常棒的男人。
And we actually really, really like him.
我们也非常喜欢他。
And so does Elizabeth, and they get married and are very happy.
哦，然后他和伊丽莎白结婚了，然后我们也很开心。
Now, when you read the book the second time,
现在，当你如果再去第二遍读这本书的时候，
and you get to that scene at the ball where Darcy acts like such a jerk,
然后你再到这个舞会的场景，看到达西，表现的像个混蛋的时候，
you feel totally different about him.
那时候你对他的感觉是完全不一样的。
The first time you read it, he says, not handsome enough to tempt me.
第一次他那会儿说哈，不是足够漂亮可以吸引到我，
And you just want to slap him.
你呢就想给他一巴掌。
The second time, he says, not handsome enough to tempt me.
他的表情我学不来啊，就是没有足够漂亮能够吸引到我。
And we say, oh, Darcy, you poor idiot.
然后
You are
呢，
making such a fool of yourself.
然后呢，我们就会哎呀，好像很同情他的那样子啊，就说哎呀，可怜的 Darcy， 你不知道你在说什么，你要后悔的。
And most of us actually laugh and we think it's funny.
然后呢，我们都会笑，都会觉得哎呀很有趣。
And the reason is that the second time through, we feel grace towards Darcy.
为什么呢？是因为第二次我们在读的时候，那个时候我们对他有恩典了。
And the reason we feel grace, the reason that we think he's cute and we think it's just funny and we don't want to slap him at all,
然后那时候为什么会觉得他很可爱呀，很有趣啊？我们再也不想去扇他巴掌了呀，
is that we know the whole
是
story.
因为我们已经知道了整个的故事。
Now, the next point I'm going to make only makes sense to someone who knows a language other than Mandarin.
下面我要说的呢，就是必须要除了中文之外，还要懂一门语言的人
And
才
the
能
reason,
听得懂。
and the
I
reason is
think most of us.
and the reason is that Mandarin doesn't have verb tense.
是因为中文里面没有那个动词的形态。
But what probably none of you noticed is that this whole time when I was talking about what Liu Bei does and what Anna Karenina does and what Elizabeth does and what Darcy does, I didn't say Darcy was a jerk at the ball.
他说现在我刚才在提刘备呀，或者是安娜啦，或者是这个伊丽莎白和达西的故事的时候呢，我一直都是用的 does， 是一个一般现在时，我并没有用过去时。
I said Darcy is a jerk at the ball.
我说达西在舞会上就是现在时态是一个混蛋。
Darcy makes the worst wedding proposal in history.
然后呢，他的求婚是世界上最糟糕的求婚，也用的是一个现在时态，并不是过去时。
But then he repents.
然后呢，他悔改了，也是现在时。
And he ends up a really cool person.
然后呢，他成为了一个很酷的人，很棒的人，都是现在时。
and everything is in the present tense. And the reason is, I'm not inside the book.
为什么呢？因为我不在这个书的里面。
We see Darcy's whole story because we're on the outside looking in, and we're not trapped inside that time sequence.
Oh, sorry, I got distracted by my son. What did you say?
I said we are outside of the book looking in. We're not trapped inside the sequence of events.
刚不是讲了吗？就是我们在这个故事的时间线之外，我们没有在它之内，没有被困在里面。
So we see the whole Darcy.
我们看到了整个的一个达西，从头到尾。
And when we go through the first time you read a novel, you're reading it as if you were one of the characters inside the book.
第一次读的时候呢，你就好像是在这个小说当中的一个人物。
Just like them, you don't know what's going to happen next.
你和他们一样，你不知道下面会发生什么。
You don't know how it turns out.
你不知道这个结果会是什么。
But after you've read it once, from then on, you're reading it, you're seeing it the way God sees us.
但是你第一遍读完之后，你再开始读第二遍、第三遍的时候，后面你就是用上帝的视角，在读这本书，就好像上帝和我们的这个关系了。
You know the whole story.
你知道了所有的故事，整个的故事。
You know who the person really is.
你知道，你真正的了解了这个人。
And that changes how you feel about the person, even when they're behaving badly.
那个时候呢，他会改变你的感觉。就算那个人当时他还是行为是很坏的时候，你的感觉会不一样。
Or it also changes how we feel about Wickham, because he turns out to be a terrible person.
这也会改变我们对那个 Wickham 的感觉，因为开始他还是不错的，但是后面他变成了一个坏人。
So the second time we read it, when we meet Wickham and he seems so charming, we're sitting there thinking, you jerk, because we know who he really is.
那第二次再来读的时候，读到这个 Wickham， 看到他好像蛮有魅力的，我们就会说啊，你其实是个坏蛋。
So the thing is, the Bible tells us, Romans 8:29, that God's children, that God has predestined us. We'll do predestination later, but that God has predestined us to be, that we turn out to be just like Jesus.
在罗马书的8章29节，他讲到，我们都是预定会成为他儿子耶稣基督的模样。当然，我们后面再会讲这个预定论啊。
When we get to the end of our story, we will be like Jesus.
就说当我们来到我们人生终点的时候，我们会在我们故事结尾的时候，我们一定会成为基督耶稣的样式。
But as far as God's concerned, whatever it is that we will be,
但是从神的角度，从上帝的角度来看，不管我们最后将要成为什么样，
to God, that's who we already are.
在神来讲，那已经是我们的模样。
Just like when we read Darcy at the ball behaving badly, but to us, he is an awesome person.
就好像我们看到这个达西在舞会上的表现很糟糕的时候，但是那时我们已经知道他会成为一个好人，就他就是一个好人，在我们的眼睛里。
So, and the reason I want to emphasize this is that when we have done something terrible, we are usually ashamed to come before God.
我想强调这一点呢，是因为当我们做一件什么事情感觉很糟糕的时候，我们会很害羞，不好意思来到神的面前，很羞愧。
Because we look at ourselves and we think, what a disgusting person we are.
我们看我们自己呢，会觉得，哎呀，我这个人真是太恶心了，太糟糕了。
And we naturally assume that that's how God feels about us too.
我们呢也就这样子去猜想，神大概也是这么看我们的。
And there's the song Just As I Am, Just As I Am, without one plea.
Without one what?
Without one plea, just as I am. This is the song.
哦，
Just as I am.
就像我这样，有一首歌。
And the whole point of the song, Just As I Am, is that what I am is a disgusting, terrible person.
它主要唱的就是 Just as I am， 像我这样一个人，我是一个多么恶心的人，讨厌的人。
But when we come to God to
但是
confess our
当我们来
sins,
到神的面前来承认我们的罪，
that's not what God sees coming.
那不是神，我们想的这个 disgusting 这个恶心的人，不是神看到我们的模样。
What God sees is who we eternally really are, and that's a delightful person.
神看到的呢，是我们在永恒里要成为的那个人，那是一个让人高兴的人。
God takes delight in us because we're delightful.
神喜爱我们，因为我们是可喜爱的。
Now, there's nothing to brag about because the only reason we're delightful is that God makes us delightful.
那我们也没有什么好吹嘘的，因为我们能成为这样的可喜爱的人，也是因为神使我们成为了这样的人。
But there's never any point where we are coming to God and God is sort of holding his nose and putting up with us.
但是从来不会有那么样一个时刻，当我们来到神的面前呢，神好像掩着鼻子，不想看我们，因为觉得我们太恶心了。
And that's the image that I had for many years growing up as a Christian, is that
那是我在成长过程中作为一个基督徒，我常有的一个感觉。
is that I come to God and I'm this terrible, disgusting person, and Jesus sort of asks God to sort of cover his eyes and pretend that I'm a nice person until he and the Holy Spirit can get me cleaned up.
我感觉我自己是那么糟，一个那么恶心的人来到神面前，然后呢，神在请求父神，耶稣在请求父神闭上眼睛，然后呢，这个掩起鼻子，等到圣灵和他一起在我身上工作，把我给清洁干净了之后，他才能够再看我。
But God doesn't have to pretend.
但是神不需要假装。
God takes delight in me and in you because he sees us as delightful.
因为神喜爱我们，就是因为他看到我们就是可喜爱的模样。
And the last point I want to make is that if God sees us as delightful and we see ourselves as disgusting,
最后一点我想说的是，如果神看我们是可喜爱的，我们看自己却是可厌恶的，
God's the one that's right, not us.
神是正确的那一位，不是我们。
And when if someone asks us who we are,
如果有人问我是谁，
what we see is we see everything that we have done up till now
我们看到的是一直到现在为止我们做的每一件事情，
and what we're feeling right now
我们现在目前当下是什么样的感觉？
and the sins that still have us tied up that we haven't beaten yet,
我们
right?
还有不能胜过的罪，
And we think that's who we are,
我们觉得那就是我了，
but that is not who we are.
但那不是我，
That is only where we are in
那
our story.
那不代表我这时候是什么样的人，只是代表我在我的整个人生故事当中，我在哪一点上。
That is who we have been so far.
那个是到目前为止我是什么样的人。
That is, we are on page 250 of a 400-page book.
我们在400页的书里面处在250页 ，That's too old. 50.
Page 250 of a 400-page book.
Too old.
But the real person, who we really are,
但是我们真正是什么样的人，
is the whole 400 pages that God sees.
是神看到的400页的书所表现出来的人。
And that is why Paul says that we can come to God in confidence.
那是为什么？这就是为什么神说我们可以蛮有信心的来到神的面前，
Because what he sees
因为神看到的
is he sees the whole us conformed to the likeness of his son.
是看到我们整个的在最后被转化为像他有他儿子形象的那个人，
And he feels grace towards us.
他对我们有恩典，他感觉到喜爱我们，
And he feels delight in us, not in spite of the fact that we are not delightful.
他喜爱我们不是说尽管我们不讨人喜爱，
He feels delight in us because we are, thanks to him, delightful.
他喜爱我们是因着他的缘故，我们确实是可喜爱的。
And I think that's where I'll stop. I went 10 minutes longer than I wanted to because I wanted to make sure to leave time for questions.
我想就在这里结束了，还超过了10分钟。我想要保证留一点时间，如果你们有问题的话可以问。
Oh, but I do want to emphasize one more time, by the way, that I am not saying that your preacher is wrong when he talks about how we don't deserve God's grace.
我要强调的是，没有说你们的牧师讲的是错的。如果提到这个恩典，说我们是不配的，这个不错。
Because we do not earn God's grace and we do not deserve God's grace.
因为我们确实是不能够赚得神的恩典，我们也不配他的恩典。
I'm just trying to
Make us feel like why we can go to God
yeah,
with
I'm trying to,
confidence.
yeah, when we have sinned and we've really messed up, overwhelmingly, the overwhelming majority of Christians are ashamed and afraid to go talk to God about it.
我们大多数基督徒在犯罪之后，总会觉得很羞愧啊，觉得不敢去跟神说啊。
And when we are repenting from sin, we do not naturally feel the joy of repentance. We don't think of repentance as something joyful.
我们忏悔的时候，不会觉得忏悔是一件很让人高兴的事。
And a whole lot of that is that our heart does not feel like we are about to go to a God who is taking delight in us. We feel like we're going to a God who's about to give us grace, which feels to most Christians like a different thing. So I'm aiming at the feeling.
所以我今天强调的是一种感觉，就是我们犯罪之后到神面前的时候，不要觉得他好像是那种好像会掩面不看呐，或者是讨厌我们呐。我们到他面前的时候，他就是因着看到我们整个的故事后面是我们会成为那个可喜爱的人，所以呢，他那时候看我们就是可喜爱的。
So I'm not saying that your preacher is wrong when he says we don't deserve grace. I'm just trying to help you see that God does not look at us and see sin. He looks at us and feels delight, and that's the point.
就是想说，你们的牧师说的没有错，但是我想帮助你们呢，能够感觉到我们到神面前的时候，他并不是说一直要看到我们的罪。 他是看到我们已经成为的那个人，可喜悦的人。
Now I really am done talking, so you can ask questions.
好，现在如果你们有问题的话，可以问。我就是，Oops，sorry，我说我的问题，我就是会觉得这样子说了，人家会不会就是很轻看那个罪呀？会觉得。 哎呀，犯罪也没什么啊。然后呢，我去，这个真的把那个忏悔也变成一个挺高兴的事儿，然后就感觉不到那个 heavy， 会不会就是更容易轻易的去犯罪？ Oh,
Followed most of it.
really? Answer me. See whether your answer is right.
Well, I mean, so it sounds as though you're saying you pray that you feel heavy and heavy because you're unhappy with the.
No,
So I didn't hear it right.
No, I mean that usually when you sin and when you go to God, you repent, you feel the sadness, the heaviness,
Right.
But when you say, "Hey, repenting is joyful, it's joyful thing," God sees me as how I will be finally in the future in eternal, and then people will not look at sin that seriously, and then will make them like so easy to sin.
Well,
Someone have a question.
yeah. Go ahead. So here's the thing with the prodigal son. The father is joyful when the son comes back.
在浪子回头里面，浪子回头的时候，这个老父亲是很高兴的。
But there are sons who never come home.
但是也有一些儿子从来就没有回过家。
And the more you love your child,
你爱孩子越多，
the more you rejoice when they turn out.
当你越爱孩子，当他们成长的很好、变好的时候，你就会越高兴。
But the more grieved you are for the ones who never come back.
然后对那些永远不回头的，你也感到越伤心。So what's the point?
So God does not delight in God. He does not want anyone to perish. So God loves everyone.
所以呢，神爱世人，爱每一个人。
But He does not delight in everyone because not everyone turns to Him.
但是他不是每个人都是可喜爱的，因为不是每一个人都会回转归向他。
And He does not delight in sin.
他看到罪也不高兴。
And He is pretty ruthless about, look, He's going to get rid of the sin no matter how much it hurts you.
不管你会怎么样的难受、痛苦，他总归是要把这个罪从你身上给消灭掉的。
And Proverbs says that God disciplines those He loves like a father the son He delights in. And just because God delights in you doesn't mean that when you come and confess your sin that you're not going to have to go through the process of cleaning it up. It may not be fun.
知道他意思了，就是说，箴言也说，神必管教他所爱的，就像父亲责打他的孩子。就是说，我刚才担心的是，人会轻看罪了，但他讲神看我们可喜爱的，但是这并不会让我们就逃脱一些自然的后果了，他还是要清洁我们，清洁掉罪，那这个过程痛苦也还是免不了的。
And if my child comes and confesses that he's done something bad,
如果我的孩子来跟我忏悔说他做了些什么坏事儿，
I'm going to be very happy to see that he is ready to move forward and solve this problem.
我看到他已经准备走下一步，准备解决这个问题，我很高兴。
I'm going to be delighted that he has confessed.
我会很高兴他来忏悔。
And now he's going to have to make it right, and that may be painful.
但现在呢，要把这个事情给办正了，那么可能是会很痛苦的。
And he still would have been a lot better off to not do the sin in the first place rather than to do the sin and confess, because the sin will still have consequences.
所以呢，他还是一开始就不犯罪为好，还是比现在这样犯了罪再来忏悔，然后再来改正的好。
What he doesn't have to be afraid of is that he'll come tell me, and I'll look at him and I'll say, "You disgusting piece of crap."
他不用担心说来到我面前忏悔的时候，我会说你这个 恶心的什么小混蛋。我知道他的
But we are still going to have to deal with the problem.
还是要来解决问题的。我知道他的意思了，中心思想就是这样子想，不要害怕，人还是会去犯罪，甚至说是更加轻忽的去犯罪，因为就是不管他态度怎么样，这个罪的后果还是要承担的，还是会痛苦的。
It's not like there's ever a time when we come and we confess the sin to God and God says, you know, I delight in you so much that you can just keep doing that. It's okay. No, he's going to clean us up. And that may not be fun, but
所以不会说我们来到神面前的时候，因为他看我们是可喜爱的，就说啊没事啊去吧，然后你再犯也没事儿。不会的，他是要来清洁我们的，要改变的。那这个还是会痛苦的，不好玩的。
So is that
好 ，Yes。
all right?
我的问题解决了。
What else?
刚才是谁是举的手吗 ？May 是
不好意思，马克那个艾妹，叫马克。
May 那个是 May 你是在
啊，你好，我有一个问题哈。
你什么时候
我有一个问题想问一下，就是刚才在那一个皮老师讲到有一个比喻，就是作者和作者中的人物，就是整个的一部书的一个关系。那我想问的话，那神是那我们的人生每一个人生被是义人，或者最后是个恶人，就是说书中是个好人是个坏人，是由这个作者而定的。那我们整个每一个人的人生，他最终成为是一个义人，或者是被神弃绝，就是最后没有悔改到神的。那么这一个是神来编写的吗？是神来定的吗？是跟那个作者是完全一样的吗？还是呢，就是在整个的过程中是基于人的自由的一个选择，最后成为一个归向主的义人。但是从神来看呢，就是因为他知道所有的时间都在他的面前，所以他知道人就是基于自己的选择，最后转向了归于主，所以他只是知道了，所以他只是就是说因为他的就是超越这个时间，他知道的那么过程是人的自由的选择。我的问题是这样。
我觉得他可能会说，他要在下一节课来详细的讲，当他要讲预定论的时候，我是这么猜想的啊。So her question is, when you talk about the creator, the writer in the book, it's like the relationship between God and us. And so for a character like me in the book, I will become a righteous person in the end. I will be saved, or I will go to that place. That's
You can say hell.
no,
It's all right.
I don't want to say hell. That's not exactly that place. So it's all decided by the author, the writer. All decided by him, or there is my choice in it too, and then he foreknows it. Is because he can see how I choose. So this is all predestined by him, or my choice is also involved. My answer to her, I said, maybe Mr. P will say, let's talk about it next time.
We are going to talk about exactly that.
你看，我就知道他说下一节就要来讲这个问题。
But I think we're going to do that in 2 weeks. Next week, I think we're going to talk about faith. Since you asked, I might turn it around and do that first. But at the moment, the plan is to talk about that, is to talk about faith, because faith is another word that means it's like grace. For us, it's a church word, and because we've grown up hearing it mostly in church, we don't hear it the same way. So I think next week we'll talk about faith. But the week after that, absolutely predestination and free will.
他说呢，下礼拜讲这个 faith， 因为 faith 这个信呢， 也是从我们的教会里面的这个术语来讲呢，是跟当初的含义是不同的。然后下节他就会讲这个预定论，然后他这个里面讲的就会来回答你的问题。你看我太知道他了吧？我就是这么说。所以
好的，谢谢。那我不要再懂了。
It's a great question. It's a great question. And
对我也是当时有这个问题，哎，搞来搞去，这个太搞了，太搞了。
好的，好的，等着下一次再听。
She will wait。所以你要 make sure 会上来哦。
是不是 Kenny 给我们卖关子，预知后事如何，且听下回分解。
且听下回的下回分解。Yes.
We're doing teasers.
Yes, she said that. Dora, I wanna ask Dora， 你今天一直都没有出声，你有问题吗
？Emily，
I talked with Kenny earlier, like before the class started.
Oh, when I was late, when I was not here.
I was wondering, where were you?
I took her out for a walk without realizing how hot it was. And when we got back, we were both drenched in sweat. And so we had to take showers, and she hadn't finished her shower yet. So that was my fault. It's actually my fault more than hers that she was late.
你看 Maggie， 你看到没有？这个是他那个你我的一个时间，马上就承认是他的错误。
哇，真的很，你们两个都特别的棒。我觉得在这件事上，女人比男人更难做到，所以你最棒。
承认错误啊 ，She said
对
not easy for men to admit it's their fault. So you are good. So Dora, do you have any question for the lesson?
I think I pretty much understand what's being said. Pretty cool. I learned a lot actually today.
Yeah, 这个跟我们之前想的很不一样啊，因为我已经听他讲过几次了，所以我现在听起来比较习惯，不会觉得 shock。但是当初第一次他讲的时候，我也是觉得啊，这样的嘛。
就是关于恩典，我觉得我从来没有听过这样的讲解吧。
对，他当初讲的时候，我也是，我说你 sure 嘛，肯定嘛，怎么跟我们这么多年听到的都不一样啊？所以他有时候讲课，我有点担心，因为他讲的东西太不一样。
哎，叔叔，我却不是这么想。你知道我每次听完，我是水平比较差，所以我要做好笔记。
太谦虚了，太 humble
啊，不是，我的感觉是什么？我每次都是感觉，哎，我好像有一点，有的时候会有豁然开朗的感觉，有的时候说原来如此。就包括最早的时候，在华人圣经教会听他讲那个耶稣诞生在马槽里，我真的是觉着他就是有考据学在里面，用希腊文，然后你就会感觉 comfortable， 你就觉着哦，就比较符合逻辑的那种，你会觉得很舒服。包括今天讲的时候，就感觉好像很有惊喜，我就觉得我不是很惊，但是很喜的那种感觉，所以特别的感恩，然后很享受这种就是听他上课的感觉，这特别好。
She said she enjoyed it. I said I was a little bit afraid because what you talked about was so different from what we learned before. But Maggie said she enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. It's very nice.
And again, I'm not saying that the preachers are wrong to say that we don't deserve God's grace. I'm not saying that. It's
不要去跟你们的牧师说，你说的是错的哈。
I don't want to come back next week and find that nobody's here because all your preachers told you you weren't allowed to listen to me anymore because I was a heretic.
所以不能说不希望下一来看到你们在了，因为牧师不允许你们参加，说你们
下次我们带牧师过来。
Next time she will bring.
You can bring your preacher. Michaela has her hand raised.
No, she asked already.
Oh, okay.
哎，你有没有可能把那个 hands put your hand down？ 能不能把举的手放下？有没有这个功能啊？我都不懂哎，都不懂。好啊，那你们 还有没有
可以了。我还我想有一个理解，就是我不知道我听的是对不对哈。我感觉就是今天讲的关于恩典，其实这是恩典的一个两方面，一个是从上帝的角度，是因着神对我们的喜爱，但是正是因为从上帝的这个角度，他对我们的喜爱，所以产生了我们人对上帝的这个回应，就是我们在神的面前感觉不配。我觉得恩典其实我们了解的更多的是我们作为人对他的感受，对这份恩典的感受。但是从这个恩典的这个本意来说，就是刚才那个皮老师讲到的是从上帝的这个角度来说，就是他对人类的这一个人的一个爱。我觉得这是完全的，就是一个是我们的感受，一个是从神而来的那种，
我
感觉。
觉得你领受的是对的，你们觉得呢？
Can you translate?
I was asking them what they feel. 我觉得 so she said she want to make sure what she understood is right. So you explained grace from God's view. It's He delights in us, and then we just because we know He delights in us, and then that make us feel more like undeserved. So when we talk about grace, we usually talk about from the feeling that we feel about God's love towards us. But today, what you emphasized was from like God's view. It's like two sides of the grace. Is it right?
Yes.
对。
Yes. God does not see us the way we see ourselves.
对，他说你说的对，从神的角度，他看我们不像我们感觉自己。
That really is why Romans 8:29 is one of my favorite verses.
他说为什么这就是罗马书8章29节是我最爱的经节。
Because God is letting us know, I'm going to get you cleaned up.
因为神让我们知道，我肯定会把你给清洁、干净、彻底的。
And another one is in 1 John, where he said,
约翰一书
where John says,
no, 约翰福音第1章
where John says, what we will be, we don't know, but we know that when we see him, we will be like him.
说我们要成为什么不知道，但是当我们见到他的时候，我们那句原话是怎么说的？我们就已经成为跟他一样的了。What's the verse?
I can't remember. It's 1 John, and I can't remember where it is. Sadly, do you remember? There's the point where Paul says, "For now," it's in 1 Corinthians 13. It says, "For now we see as through a glass darkly."
Yeah.
We see through a glass darkly.
就我们现在看是模糊不清，但是
that word
到了时候我们就跟他面对面了。
面对面了，对。
that word in Greek can mean a mirror. And the thing is, in the first century, they didn't know how to make glass mirrors that give a true reflection.
在那个1世纪的时候，他们不知道怎么样造一个镜子，就是真的能把人完全反照出来。
You used like polished brass, and you just got sort of some idea of how you looked.
大概是那个铜镜吧，就是擦的比较明亮一些，大概可以看到自己，但是不像现在的镜子那样。
So one of the things that we don't see clearly is ourselves.
我们看不清楚的是我们自己。
God's the one who sees us as we really are.
但是神看到的是一个最清晰的我们。
And it's just an enormously real, because there's plenty of stuff that still has to get cleaned up in me, and plenty of stuff I don't like.
当然，我里面有很多的东西要被清洁，是我自己不喜欢的。
And it's it's something that it's important for me to remind myself every now and again is that God finds me delightful, even though I don't find myself delightful.
所以我经常要提醒自己，尽管我不是那么喜爱自己，但是神是看我是可喜的。能解释通吗？
Well, I'll tell you what, it's 9 o'clock. We've been running for 2 hours, so I think we can let people go. Thank you guys very much for coming and for hanging in there and listening. I know these are long sessions. So I really appreciate
谢
you
谢
guys
你们
sticking there.
忍受到现在。
没有啦，很 enjoy。然后就是 Kenny 就感觉很 drama 的感觉，很可爱，很可爱。Kenny 特别可爱。
你很可
Oh,
爱。
yeah, I really,
就是这个不是他做错事，而是他在表演的时候快笑死了。
When I say you， 你很可爱。
that usually means I've done something bad, done something stupid.
That doesn't mean you have done something wrong, Kenny. Just because you know you act so well.
Yeah.
谢谢。
不用谢。
好嘞，
谢谢你们
大家晚安。
晚安。
早休息了，晚安。
晚安。
晚安。Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
拜拜。